Hello everyone, as many of you know, Hurricane Milton landfalled on the west coast of Florida yesterday, with it being a Category 3 hurricane, with it causing damage across the state with lots of tornadoes, high winds, heavy rain, and storm surge. Meanwhile, here in southwest Florida, it all started with the morning yesterday with me making an updated video at 9:30 a.m. Here is the video. So right now, the winds are currently at 8 miles per hour. The gusts are going to be right around, I'd say about 15 to 20. So it's a little breezy outside. Hurricane Milton should start bringing impacts here around like 2 o'clock. As you can see, like I said, it's a little breezy outside. You can't really see through the screen, but winds are definitely starting to pick up. After that, I was finishing to prepare the house before the hurricane hit, with the winds picking up around 15 miles per hour. So it wasn't too windy, but it was starting to get up there. Then I went inside to check the weather, and I saw that what it was doing, and I noticed that the pressure was really starting to drop, with it showing thunderstorms and high winds according to barometric pressure. Like, according to my station, like, this is not like just internet, this is just off of the barometric pressure, and this is not that common, like, to see thunderstorms and high winds from just barometric pressure. So that's how bad this storm was actually supposed to get. But let me get back to what I'm saying. Then all of a sudden, a tornado warning was issued for my area, with no tornado being present, which thankfully there wasn't, because the tornadoes in this state yesterday were like Oklahoma tornadoes. That is crazy. Next up, as the time was going on, I was just watching the huge unnormal tornadoes that were continuing in Florida. Also, prayers to those that were affected by the tornado outbreak yesterday. As the day was continuing, the winds reached around 20 miles per hour around 2:30 p.m. So then I brought out my anemometer, aka my wind speed tracker, and soon as I was recording the winds, they were not that high at the time, with the anemometer reaching only up to 23 miles per hour. Since it was raining, I went back inside, and I was still tracking the storm as Hurricane Milton was getting a couple of hours away from landfall. Once the rain stopped, I went back outside with my anemometer, and it was still reading around 20 miles per hour. So I went right back inside. I just went back inside. Right when I wanted to go back outside to track and see how high the winds would be, I remember my dad wanted me to stay inside because the winds gusts were just getting way too strong. Another big one. Which pretty much makes sense because the winds were actually just getting pretty strong. As time was counting down, with landfall being near, I was just sitting outside on the back porch near the house, watching and hearing the winds, and I could tell they were getting stronger by the minute, with tree leaves and pine needles just flying in the air. And around 6 o'clock, I remember my mom asking me why the path of the hurricane was just going all over the place.
Why is it so wonky?
What is the path?
Why?
Which in reality it actually was. It was just wobbling like crazy. So yeah, it was just crazy. Then about 30 minutes later, the power went out for a few seconds. Then it came right back, with the winds only being at 26 miles per hour. As the winds kept going up, I videoed the strongest gust of the day. Another big one. With sustained winds at 29 miles per hour. Keep in mind, these winds were gonna get even worse as the night went on. At 7:15, I recorded a very eerie view of the winds, as well as when the night was starting to approach and the clouds were just not normal. So then, a few minutes later, we went inside and watched some TV, and just hearing the winds on the side of the house were just eerie, and it sounded like a train, and the howling of the scream. That's how bad the winds were getting. On the top of that, the lowest pressure was recorded at 29.41 inches in mercury at 8:06 p.m. Then, about 24 minutes later, Landfall happened around Siesta Key. But since we were inland, that just means the winds were gonna get even stronger, and the winds actually reached about 32 miles per hour about 40 minutes later after landfall. After that, at the same time, I remember me and my dad were just checking on the screen to see if it was staying on, and it still was, but at the same time, it was really creepy, and just hearing those strong winds through the screen was also really creepy and crazy at night. Then around 9:30, I remember seeing the street light flickering on and off to the street south of us, which meant that the winds were intensifying even more, which it got to the point where the winds would make the sound like, it would sound like a train. Like, it was crazy. With a high-pitched squeal from the screen, and it was a crazy sound, I won't lie. And we were really starting to worry, but as the night went on, I was just tracking the winds on my weather station, and the winds just did drop for a good period of time, around 25 miles per hour. So they did drop just a little bit till the winds picked right back up. As I checked the screen around 11 p.m., I remember seeing this tree branch move like it was a piece of paper. It was moving like a piece of paper. It was flapping in the wind, and that's how intense the winds were getting. So I got back inside in my room, and I just hear the winds on the exterior wall just roaring for the rest of that hour. I was just watching my breeze sensor, just sitting on my bed and just watching the breeze sensor just record its data. And then it was just constantly recording the 20s in between 20 to 29 mile per hour winds. It was crazy. And that's not common down here in Southwest Florida at all. It's normally 10, a maximum of 10 miles per hour per day. It's never constantly the 20s or even 30s. But then around 12:07 p.m., or actually no, 12:07 a.m., the winds got back up into the 30s with the wind speed at 32 miles per hour. Then the wind was so bad that I went to the window and I was checking on the screen. Then all of a sudden I just start seeing this weird part of debris, and that's just passing by the screen, and I thought it was just a plastic bag or something that you would expect from a retail store or a grocery store or something, but it was very strange. Then the biggest moment in the wind history of the year, and in the peak of the winds from Hurricane Milton in my area, the highest winds were recorded as up to 37 mile per hour wind, sustained winds on my weather station. And what's even crazier is that I spotted the wind on my station immediately. Hello everyone, so right now we are in the middle of Hurricane Milton, and as you can see here, it is 37 miles per hour. That is crazy. This is worse than when Helene hit around here last time as well. Helene was 36, but now Milton is 37. This is honestly the worst storm that we have saw in a long time. It's actually crazy. And see if the winds calm down. So, looks like it's gonna be a long night from now. It just popped up 37 miles per hour. That was crazy. And I just started filming my reaction because it was absolutely that crazy. And yeah, it was just crazy. But all seriousness, the winds got so bad that I heard this creak in the wall, with the winds being so undescribable at that moment. Just hearing the winds howling on the exterior wall. So then I went to check on the screen, and it seemed like it was staying up pretty good. So then after that, I just went to bed. The next morning, I went outside and saw all the damage, and was not too bad, but some tree debris in the front yard But the biggest piece of debris was a tree branch that was 1.5 inches in diameter. That is crazy. And the debris that I thought was a grocery bag, turns out it was just a palm leaf. That's funny. It was really funny. Like, I actually thought it was actually a bag or something, but hey, at least it was only a palm leaf, right? Anyways, in review, the highest winds, like I said, were up to 37 miles per hour. Fun fact, when Helene passed by here, it was 36. So technically, this storm works by like 1 mile per hour, but I got a feeling it was a lot stronger than that. So, yeah, it was crazy. With the 37 mile per hour sustained winds, and that occurred around 12:24 a.m. today, with wind gusts up to 60 to 70 mile per hour throughout the day yesterday and early this morning. The rainfall in total of this was only 2.5 inches during the last 7 days till now. So in reality, it was just a lot worse than when Helene passed through here in southwest Florida. Also, prayers to those that were highly impacted by this hurricane, especially in central Florida, from the Tampa area all the way to the Cape Canaveral, and much of the peninsula that was impacted severely, like really bad. And it was just all across Florida, across the peninsula of Florida, as there were many impacts from the tornado outbreak as well before the storm hit. So once again, prayers to those that have undergone this tragic natural disaster, and hope that everyone stays safe. Anyways, thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.